Yeah.
Doing good. It's a Sunday.
It is a Sunday. It's a little rainy.
Well, it's Washington. Too,
yes.
So it do that.
But we're in April now. It's almost
April
spring.
Showers,
This week, you're confusing me by saying spring. Stop it. It was sunny.
Spring.
I said spring.
Okay. Okay.
I was talking to myself. Don't worry about it.
All right. Okay. Keep going.
Here we are, Sunday, early April. We're going to have another episode today, and this week's episode is going to be on programming.
Yeah, easy way to do it. We'll just say programming as a whole, I feel like, is easiest.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's a huge topic.
Yeah, I don't think this is a one episode
I think
either.
And we talked about this, and this is a good thing to say on the podcast, too. Like, I think that a lot of the things we talk about are in powerlifting in general, in lifting in general, because like we're talking about the gym as a whole. Mm-hmm. Huge topics that are things that take people 20, 30 years to really work through on a deep level and understand the nuance around that. Most of the things we talk about, the first time we bring it up, are going to be kind of a wide-angled overview. And over time, I think we'll kind of narrow down into specifics and get more into more complicated
I think
pieces.
our opinions will change over time too.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's very likely. So This is the first time we'll touch programming. We're not going to go too in detail. Something we were talking about is how to describe the episode, how to type that up, and we came up with speedrunning programming. So we're going to start with like new lifters, talk about them, talk about intermediate to beginner level lifters, right? Because there's like new lifters, which is like there's even levels to that, right?
Yeah.
Of like, okay, you're new to being an athlete.
Yep.
Or you're new to this type of being an athlete. Like there's a lot of different levels to lifting.
Yeah, I mean, because like if you say new lifters, I think but yeah, you're in the right frame. Is like when you think new lifters, most people who are going to watch this are going to say, okay, well, you just walked into a 24-hour fitness the first time. Because in a lot of people's range, that's the new lifter. That's when you're very, very new. Your first like 3 years. Mm-hmm. But that's not new when you're competing. Because most people who competed have been in a gym for 3 to 5 to 10 years, whatever.
I've found it's pretty rare for somebody to go from very little fitness at all to competing. That doesn't happen very often, right?
Yeah.
Usually there's this intermediary of like, okay, I've always been an athlete. I started lifting. I like the idea of competing in
a thing.
Yes. And so then they jump in, right? And so that person is like not a new athlete. If we're talking new lifter, you've never been in a gym before.
Yeah.
To us, that sounds crazy.
Right.
I've been in the gym since I remember my family went to the YMCA all the time. When growing up, my parents woke up at 5 a.m. and went to go work out. Yep. And I was like, I want to work out. Neither of them lifted weights. They were cardio people. But like the idea is there.
Yes.
And I wanted to join them. And I had to take a test and pass it and then go through this whole course before I was even allowed in the weight room at the YMCA.
That's crazy.
It was crazy. Thank you for saying that. That being said, there are people that aren't like you and I that didn't grow up in a gym or an athletic type setting.
Right.
And they are new lifters.
Like in the purest sense of the word. Yeah.
Learning how to use their body new.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, like, so that being newest entry level, and they usually will come to the gym, and most people who come into the gym the first time do exactly what your parents said did. Cardio, and that's it.
Yeah.
Jump on the bike, jump on the elliptical for 15, 20 minutes, and they go home because they don't know what to do anywhere else.
Yeah.
And it's an intimidating change to make, going from nothing to a gym where people around you are training. And we can use the word training loosely in a commercial gym because that's also a little bit of a different context.
Yeah.
But you're going to a gym, going from the elliptical, which everybody's seen an elliptical because it's at every apartment gym, it's at every hotel gym. You've seen it at least. To walking over to dumbbells, very different. There's also
what do I do with these things?
And
they weigh a lot.
Auxiliary equipment.
Yeah.
It's like a pin-loaded bicep curl or a pec tech fly or something. Those are also much more acceptable than getting into free weights. Very much easier. This thing forces
it's a whole other step.
Yeah. Yep. So there's all these like progressions of like
you can only do it so wrong.
Exactly. And I think that for the sake of what we're doing, going that far back doesn't make a lot of sense.
No, I think it's going to take us all of 2 minutes to cover something like that, right?
Sure, yeah.
We're going to start there. We're going to go to new athletes to lifting. So kind of the step past that, right? Like,
Sure.
Hey, you decided you like to squat, bench, and deadlift.
Yep.
What does that look like, right? Mm-hmm. We'll go from there. We'll go to an intermediate level lifter, somebody probably pretty akin to where I live currently in my lifting career. And then we can touch a little bit on beyond that and how things change. This topic is a lot.
It's a dense topic. And the fun thing about this is it's a reverse funnel. When you're brand new into the gym, you're like, really what you should be doing is very, very simple. Like, you're going to do 3 things.
Yep.
You can do the same rep range, the same workouts day in, day out for a long time and get a lot out of it. And then when you go deeper into it, the funnel starts to widen really, really, really far.
It does.
Where you're at the high end, there's so many options for what things could work for you, and you should explore.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Oh, okay. Wow. I can't wait to get there because I might have differing opinions than you.
Sure.
Cool. That's a little bit what we're going to talk about today. Anything new in the world that we live in outside of today's topic, right? Like, okay, that's what we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
Brief speed run of it. What's new? What's going on?
Synapse, what Jake is saying. What's going on in the world of lifting? And the craziest thing that's happened in the powerlifting history just happened.
What's his name? I don't even know.
Colton something. I don't know if I can pronounce his last name.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
We all know.
We had, and for those who don't follow powerlifting, like it's your Bible. In history, the strongest person in powerlifting and in the world is going to be the heaviest guy usually. The last all-time world record.
Keep talking.
Do it. The last all-time world record for total that was broken was by Dan Bell, and it was like just over 2,600. And it was a huge moment because one of those numbers that people were like, "This isn't a realistic number.
We're never getting there."
People were talking about
it's not possible.
Frequently, people who brought up this total that Dan Bell did were saying this is going to be around for like a decade before anybody touches it. And less than 2 years later, I think, and I could be wrong on the time frame, it's been very recent. This kid, very young, 275 pounds body weight, comes in and on a whim, basically, because he was prepping for another meet. He decided to do the meet he did because he didn't feel like going to the other meet or something came up. So it was unplanned. He did not go 9 for 9. He broke the all-time world record total at a lighter body weight than super heavy by 2 weight classes, which is insane. And we've talked about this a lot, and I'm going to bring it up right now, because the idea that mass moves mass has been like vehemently disproved. There cannot be any more argument for it because this person set the bar so high for middleweight lifters.
Yeah, he competed at 120 kilos, right? Which is a pretty big human, right?
That's 264.
I don't know how tall he is, but that's a big person,
right?
Big guy. For sure. But that's not Dan Bell big.
No.
Dan Bell was what? Like
over 310 pounds, like, for sure.
I want to say he was about 330, but maybe I'm...
Well, it
doesn't matter. He was greater than 308.
Yes.
And that's a huge mass difference.
Yes.
And so often you hear mass moves fast. That's something I say. Yeah. I say that commonly. And something that I tend to believe in. But this guy is really making me question it, man.
Because I don't think we've argued about this because I very strongly disbelieve this point. I don't think mass does move mass. I've seen some very big people lift very little weights.
Yeah, he totaled 1,200 kilos, by the way.
Yeah, which is a massive total. It's incredible.
10x body weight total.
Yeah. And that's something we see lower weight classes hit, like under 181.
Yeah.
We do not see that past 220 because that's the thing that John Hack has been trying to break was a 10 times body weight deadlift for the last couple of years. And this is 2 weight classes above that. That's insane. It's an incredible total. This is like one of the biggest moments in powerlifting history by far.
Yeah, I'm not finding all the details that I wanted to be able to. My bad for not having them prepared. But the kid is a phenom. He was not prepped, in his words. He was not prepped for this meet. He was planning on doing something a little later on. I don't remember the detailing it. I don't remember. Something happened. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But he didn't want to, so he randomly did this one on a whim.
Yep.
Wow.
It's crazy. And he also, did not go 9 for 9.
Nope.
I think he tried a 500 kilo deadlift at the end.
He attempted a 500 kilo deadlift on his third attempt.
Yeah.
Excuse me?
Yeah. And so people who are watching, Eddie Hall did doing a 500 kilo deadlift in a deadlift suit with straps. Big difference. A deadlift suit's going to add a lot of pressure onto your deadlift. You're going to get a lot more weight, and straps mean that you don't have to hold it with your hands.
Yeah. And there's no, in strongman, we'll have plenty of strongman talk in the future, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I don't want to get too into it right now, but there are very different rules for deadlifting and strongman.
Very many rules.
And by that I mean
kind of less.
Almost
rules.
none. Yeah, it's really only more restrictive or less restrictive. More restrictive in powerlifting. So the fact that it's
a
attempted,
raw, just body moving.
Pick it up, dude.
Yeah.
And
get a belt.
I think this kid's got more in him, which
He's
is
got way more. He's young.
Hard to believe.
He's young. He's still he's not been around for 15 years.
You think we see 2,700?
Oh, you know what? That's a big question because
it was 26:45 is what he posted.
Well, he probably would have been not far off from 27 had he been at his best. He got 9 for 9. We probably would have been at least very close. But the scale is also logarithmic. So it starts to flatline at a certain point for every lifter's career. You know, you're going to start seeing decreasing return as time goes. I haven't looked into this kid enough to know how long he's been competing either. I've seen
if he's
stuff
24,
for a few years.
Yeah,
I've seen him being posted for a couple of years, but I don't know for sure how long because if he started at 16, there's a lot more time frame where he's been actively competing versus what he's got, in going forward. And not being that he doesn't have a lot going forward, but how much return is he going to get out of those years going
forward? Well, how much does his body have left to give? Right.
Yeah, exactly. He's already doing the impossible.
Do more. Yeah, right. People do amazing things and surprise us every day, every year that happens. Oh, the body after this age can't do it. Or if you've been lifting for this long, you can't do it. Yes, we prove those things wrong all the time. But lifting at this level, it really takes half an injury and you're done and you're never going to be back to that level, right? And so the longevity of somebody's career is always up in the air when you lift this heavy, because at some point you're so strong, to get stronger, the amount of weight that you need to do for repetition becomes dangerous. And when it's one thing if you're locked in for one rep and it is dangerous, it is, yes, absolutely. Lifting heavy is not a safe thing to do, but when what is supposed to be light work can seriously damage you if you are being irresponsible, that just really narrows the band for error.
This is, and I'm going to kind of skip ahead a little bit because this brings up a really cool point for programming also. When we talk about we're going to keep going on this topic, but this is when your light work becomes heavy. If you're squatting 800 for your set of 5x5, that's,
oh my God.
for reference, right? We're talking Jamal Browner's deadlift.
Okay.
He literally did an 800-pound deadlift for a month straight. So you know what I mean?
Yeah, that was crazy.
That was wild with different styles. He did a snatch grip deadlift with 800 pounds. That. It made me sad.
Me too.
But when you're talking about this is a light work. 800 pounds will pull your spine apart. Yeah. You have to be so present and so aware of your body and your technique during that time.
Good segue.
Yeah. Thank you. I tried that.
Good.
You'd be so aware that there's a mental lapse when the weight's light. When you go to the gym, you're it's just going to be a set of 5 or 6. I'm just going to get in, get out, go home. I want to eat. I've got mac and cheese in the fridge. I do have mac and cheese in the fridge right now.
Nice. Sounds delicious. I bought some cinnamon rolls last night.
Oh,
yeah.
I love that. Dude. I got a bunch of free stuff from work.
They're really cheap at Winco.
I'm going to go to Winco.
I got a pack of 6 for less than $5.
I'm going to go to Winco. Okay.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah,
Sorry.
That's wild. Anyway, okay. Anyway, so the attention to detail goes down. Attention to detail goes down. Weight is still really heavy.
Yeah.
And so your risk to yourself is still massive. But to me, doing the work, it's not.
Yeah.
If I lifted 1,100 pounds and I'm doing 800 pounds for a couple reps, whatever, this is fine.
That's what I mean, right? So you get to a point where even your... you get so strong. To get stronger, you must train at a I'm trying to come up with a good descriptor, but like dangerous, I guess.
Yeah.
Level, right? Like even your just getting the workout is dangerous.
Yeah.
That really can limit your career because then any lapse in I wasn't tuned in, I wasn't thinking about this, I wasn't thinking like, dude, no, not allowed, can't happen, you're gonna get hurt.
Yeah, and I'm going to segue again because we're going to talk about beginner lifters doing the same thing. And I talk about this constantly.
Ooh, okay.
Technique is 90% of power. If
Yeah.
you cannot move, if your body is moving in wildly different directions and shapes, Kai's pointing to herself because she's a great example of this. If your body moves in 42 different patterns during a set of 5, nothing is ever consistent.
Yeah.
I'm never going to know what your max is going to look like because I don't know what any of your reps will ever look like. Versus if you can go into the gym and execute a perfectly like consistent squat.
Yes.
Over and over and over. And I see you move, let's say 200 pounds for a set of 6. I know you're probably putting up about 270, 280 at your max. And I know you're going to have it because I know you're going to move the same way.
Yep.
You know, the muscles that are loaded, the joints that are loaded in that position, we've seen do work in the same way before. We know you're going to be able to do work later. And most people who are lifting don't start that way. Most people who are lifting come in and just, I want to be strong. I want to lift heavy.
Go up.
And they just go up. They get stronger. They get heavier.
I can't do it anymore. Why can't I do it anymore?
Yeah, and then they'll just keep trying again and again and again. And a lot of them also are following older school lifters or just the big guys, and those bodies move wildly differently. If you're just starting, I'm 100% certain you're not 350 pounds, and you're not going to deadlift like Eddie Cohen. You know, you're not going to deadlift like Eddie Hall. You're not going to deadlift like Benny Magnuson. You're going to be different.
Yes.
You know.
So, okay. Do we have anything more? Because now we're jumping into today's topic, and I'm excited.
I know. I couldn't help myself.
Buddy.
I couldn't help myself.
Is there anything else we want to talk about first? I don't think so. That was kind of the main thing that I wanted to touch on.
Stuff coming. I guess we could talk about stuff coming up. We've got the meet coming up in May. That's coming up pretty soon. It's a little bit less than a month away. That's going to be a lot of fun. We got Jackson, who was here last week, who's going to be, or I guess last time we posted, who's going to be doing that meet. Same, whatever.
Meme.
I think Anne, one of your clients, is doing that meet. That's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, and she competed with us in March, so this is her second competition.
Really fast turnaround too.
Yeah,
like March to May is. I think it's okay for somebody who's new.
I think so too. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that because you're not going to get a ton of return that quick, meet to meet, but.
Yes.
The experience is valuable, and I think she'll get a lot out of it.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
I totally agree. It is not, if I was playing Sims with my program, right? So, and this is an analogy I used in the last episode, but like if you could create a program for somebody, right? Like this is exactly when you would have them compete and when you would do this, and then you would eat this much before this workout, right? Like we could simulate the best way to do things, right? Because I think that's what a lot of people are interested in, even if it's not replicable.
Sure.
Because life happens, and we're not Sims, and anyways.
Debatable.
Go to bed now.
Anyway,
Anyways.
Yeah.
What were you talking about?
Yeah, so people come into the gym and they kind of just start loading heavier, and they're like, oh no, I need to get stronger, and they start loading heavier, and they're following the average power lifter for movement advice, for programming advice, for whatever. Every single person is going to need something a little bit different, especially when we talk about movement. I think programming too, but movement wise is so important. And this is not necessarily program specific, but it's program required. And I think that everybody should have time in their program to work on technique. And if you're maxing out every week, you can't ever do that.
So we're talking about new lifters.
Yeah.
I agree. For me, when I'm introducing somebody new to, let's just talk about powerlifting, right? Because that's what we're here for, I guess. Yeah. Well, I have a whole speech on that, but we'll can that for another side. Okay. I think powerlifting is probably the best way to introduce somebody to weightlifting in general.
Agree.
And it is the most applicable across all lifestyles. Mm-hmm. I think it is probably the best way to introduce somebody to strength training.
Yes.
Anyways, that's my part of my spiel. Anyways,
1,000,000%.
not the point. And that's my point is a new lifter, right? I'm going to train them like a powerlifter, like a new powerlifter, right? That's just how I'm going to do it because that's what I believe in. That's how I believe that most people are going to benefit from strength
That's
training.
how I can help you the best.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That being said, we're going to squat, bench, and deadlift. We're probably going to do 2 of the 3 every time I see you, and it's never going to be to failure.
No.
I want you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, probably for the first like 6 months, like we're just going to do weight that is so easy for you, but I want you to do it perfectly. And I want you to do it the same every single time. Cause I'm not teaching you. I'm not making you stronger for the first, maybe even year, depending on the person.
I would argue with that.
Okay.
This is why I think technique needs to have a place in programming, because if I can improve my position on a bench press.
I agree with you. Let me pause before, because I think you're not understanding what I mean.
Go ahead.
Your number is going to go up, but it's not because muscle get bigger.
No,
it is because you're getting better at doing the thing.
Yes.
Your skill, your technique is going up.
But most programming is not about muscle either. Like the vast majority of programming is around neurological conditioning more than it is about muscle.
I agree. And I don't think most people know that.
Well, no, but podcast.
Yes, but like that's really important to get out there, right? It's like we're not giving you this program, and so that's what this episode is about, is programming.
Yeah. We're getting really deep really fast too.
But I don't think new lifters, I just want you to learn the skill. I really we will do things, we will do accessories. I will give you certain accessories based on when I'm watching you squat. If it looks like your quads just fucking suck, so you fold in half because you can't hold yourself up with your quads, we're going to do tons of quad-based stuff, right? But that's me watching you and saying, hey, you need that, right? So when it comes to programming for new lifters who might not have a coach, I think the best thing that they can do is probably just
feel your body. Yeah. Feel your body move.
Yes. I love asking questions when I work with people because it makes them give me an answer that requires them to think about what they just did or what they're doing.
Yeah. Oh, I love that too. Yes. Agree 100%.
Because that's the newest thing, or the biggest thing that I am trying to get through to a new lifter is you need to be thinking about exactly what muscles you're moving, how it feels, top to bottom.
I'm going to call out Kai for a second because
love it.
Because when you ask that, hey, how did that feel? And they say, good or fine. Okay.
And sometimes that is the answer, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Right?
Sometimes it is the answer. That's true.
Okay. New lifters.
Good until it's not.
Programming.
Well,
ooh, that's a
good point too. Yeah.
Pop off about it's good until it's not. Tell me why that is not a valid excuse.
Oh my God, because it's a spectrum.
Okay.
There's a huge spectrum in this, right? It's good until it's not. But that's like saying, well, the pancake's not burned until it's black. You know?
That was a weird example.
I'm thinking about food. I'm hungry.
Okay.
I have raspberry lemon pancakes at home too right now.
Oh, man. So if somebody is, right, let's use a deadlift as an example. They're deadlifting. They say it feels the same and it's good until they fail.
Okay. Yeah. Great. So one of a couple of things. One, you're not conditioned for the rep range we're doing, which is my fault. You know, if that's the case, and let's say you're going from a 5 to a 1, bad idea. Don't ever do that because you're not conditioned for a single, right? But if you're doing 5s week to week to week and you're all of a sudden 0, you get 0 reps. Are you fatigued? If the answer is no, something had to be different. And my question isn't necessarily like week to week. If I'm not going to see you a deadlift every single time you deadlift, then when did it feel wrong? When did it feel different? You know, and it's the expectation that you're paying attention to.
It's that asking questions.
It's the expectation that you're paying attention to what you're doing. I care about this deadlift. I'm doing technique work. And if I'm giving you technique cues, I'm hoping that you're feeling those and thinking about them while you're lifting. Did you make that change? Yes or no? What did it feel like? what did the deadlift feel like? Was it the same as your warm-ups? Was it different? Was this single heavier, harder? Did you feel more pulled forward, more pulled back? Did you get the whip out right? Did you feel unbalanced? Did the whip catch you on top? Like things like that. How did it feel? Is anything that happened during that movement, talk to me.
Yeah.
Same, different, whatever.
Those are all answers that would come from the experience.
Right. So that's
it's
really
not necessarily.
interesting.
Not necessarily, because
Yes, it is.
No new lifter knows what whip is.
well, no, but you can say something happened on top.
Yes,
it was
right.
uncomfortable on top.
And so the skill that I try to develop for a new lifter is the ability to intake all that information. As a coach, right, you are only as helpful as much information you have.
Yeah.
Right? You can only provide insight with your experience if you have information to disseminate.
Yes.
Right? Whether that's visual and you can watch, that's one thing, and that's really helpful, right? A good coach can tell a lot just by watching, for sure. But the added information of the lifter and their ability to articulate the way their body feels, that is the thing that I'm trying to get a new lifter to learn.
And this is a good topic for us to discuss because you work with a lot more like Gen Pop people too. I don't. I work with people who have been lifting for a long time usually, and who are, I want to lift as heavy as humanly possible, and I want to go break records. And I'm like, cool, let's get after it.
Yes.
So my expectation when I take on a client is you're going to be able to tell me this didn't feel right, or it did, versus your example saying, I want to teach you how to tell me when those things happen. That's not even a thought I really have very often, which is kind of fun.
It's really, figuring out, and so we do come from very opposite ends of the coaching world.
Yeah.
I work with a lot of casuals. Is the word I would use.
Yeah.
And I mean, not in a bad way. It's just,
it's not a bad thing to casually work out. It's
yes,
the best
it's
thing
great.
you can do for
it's
yourself.
Fantastic. Those are the kinds of people that I want to work with because I see them 3 times a week and I'm like, hey, how's your sister? How's your daughter?
Yeah.
Right? What's going on in your life? And then at the same time, we get to work out and they're getting better. And they ask me questions about like, okay, can we do a yellow today? And I'm like, do you even know how much yellow is? And they're like, no.
Yeah.
Those kind of relationships are fantastic because it is where this passion, this hobby of mine that can be so fantastically complex.
Yeah.
And all the programming and the specifics, we want to do this much on this day and for all these reasons, right? But then it can also be,
let's just lift things.
what's up? Let's lift some stuff and talk about how it feels, right?
Yeah.
And then figure out, right? A lot of the people I work with have never played a sport.
No.
Right? Never been to a gym before now, right? Like, of course, they have now. They're here all the time. But so I'm like literally teaching these people or asking them like, hey, I want you to pick this up, but don't use that muscle. Or
do use that muscle.
Do you, right? Like,
this is what that muscle feels like.
Exactly. So I want you to squat, right? And some people will squat and their butt will drop to the ground. And some people will squat and they'll like fold in half and their hips don't really move.
Yeah.
And they think they're squatting.
Yep.
And so teaching people the differences and like, hey, no, I want you to do this. And so coaching, from what I have experienced, is mostly just finding 47 different ways to say the same thing.
Yeah. And that transcends level too.
It does. And that's what's really interesting.
Any good coach will not give you the same cue more than once. I'd say more than a couple times, even if I was being generous. You know, they're going to try to get it in, hey, this is how I think about it. This makes sense. They have to keep saying a different thing.
Yeah.
That's a good coach because they're putting out effort to give you the stimulus that you need to understand the physical response they're looking for.
And what I love about this is it's like fishing. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm throwing out bait and I'm throwing out these phrases as people are lifting. Like as I say, hey, let's go do a set of 3 at this rate, right? Like let's do it. I'm going to watch you. And then as I'm coaching, right, as I'm watching, I throw out cues. And the ones that work are so obvious.
It's instant.
It is because, but then it's able, like I'm able to give instant feedback. What you just did, good.
Right
like,
now.
That's like, I said a thing, you made a change. Oh my God.